welcome to another episode of
80-bit Podsmash,
where gaming goes to grab a beer. We are your hosts,
Penguin and Termite,
and we are a weekly gaming podcast centered around the ideas, smashing together the ideas of politics, art, culture, and other things that we care about with video games.
with video games being the emphasis there. Yes.
Yes,
We are drinking today two separate beers.
we are. I'm running a marathon, so I chose the lightest, wateriest beer with the lowest ABV,
That was available.
and that is Bud Light Lime.
Hashtag BL. I have it left over from the beach, actually.
It's a long time ago.
But it's beer. It
Doesn't go bad.
Go bad, yeah,
Yeah.
right? It's got alcohol in it.
Still tastes like a Corona with lime in it.
Yep, I am drinking a Czech-style Pilsner from Kirkland Signature. So this is like
It's that Costco beer.
Costco beer, yeah. Yeah. I had this one left over from the bachelor party I went
Let me
to.
see that
so
thing. Let me see this bottle. Let me look at this. Brewed and bottled by Bricks and Barley Brewing Company.
Mm-hmm.
So Kirkland is
Yeah.
a brand that they compete to be in Costco stores.
Yeah,
And there's like these, I saw this documentary, it's insane, of like these smart people that work for Costco that meticulously dissect products.
Oh, yeah.
And these people are like fawning and pining to be in Costco because it's such a good lucrative opportunity.
Sure.
So every time I see something with like a Kirkland brand, I always investigate the label to see like what it really is.
Yeah.
And so this is brewed and bottled by Bricks and Barley Brewing Company from Stevens Point, Wisconsin. I can't talk. Stevens Point, Wisconsin. It's a Czech style lager.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's
I
good.
like it.
Yeah, surprisingly for a Kirkland beer, the last time we had Kirkland anything was Kirkland Light, which was their like Bud Light. Not, well, yeah, they're like it's more like their Natty Light.
Oh, it was so bad.
It was really bad.
It was the worst beer I probably ever had in my
which
life.
was perfect because we had it to play a game that I have, a card game called Drunk Quest.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it for our friend Ryan's bachelor party, so
Yep.
shout out to Ryan's bachelor party, which
That was
was
a lot of fun.
amazing. But yeah, so it was at a bachelor party, so we were at like a cabin, so we didn't have to drive anywhere, and we played Drunk Quest, and it's why I said there has to be like it's good that we had a bad beer is because the point of the game is to not drink as much, like
Right.
is to
Drinking
win.
is the penalty.
Exactly, yeah, you want to win without drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to balance between drinking and winning. And yeah, if it's a penalty to drink, then you want something that was gross. So
And to
it
describe
was
the
gross.
game, it's kind of like Munchkin.
yeah, kind of like
If you guys play Munchkin, it's like that, but with drinks.
with
instead
drinks,
of,
yeah, it's really fun. But I own it. I spent like $20 on it. I own it, and have only played it on like a few occasions. Like I've only played it on like 3 occasions. Every single one of those occasions made it worth every penny because it's so fun.
We'll talk offline. I have an idea.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
About Drunk Quest.
all right, cool. What's going on?
Man, it's been a doozy of some gaming stuff happening
It's
in
true.
the industry.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we will.
So other than gaming news, what's going on?
This will be airing the first Monday after Thanksgiving, which means the
Mhm.
holiday season, and it is going. I cannot talk tonight. And I'm not even like going fast. What is going on? It is the first Monday after Thanksgiving. And
Holidays
that
are
means
in
the
full
holiday in
swing.
full swing.
Yeah.
You're in it now. This
Yep.
is it. The people who are Grinches, who are like, get my Christmas out of Halloween. I wait till after Thanksgiving to put my stuff up.
Mhm.
So you're now in the midst of that crazy season. You're getting this tree up. You're planning your family weekend activities. I'm over here planning our Smash Bros. Weekend. It's going to be awesome.
Oh
it's
my
coming
gosh,
out
it's
in
coming
just a
up
week,
2
in a
weeks
few
from here.
days.
Yeah,
It's coming out on Friday, the December 7th. The December 7th. Like
Yeah.
it's the day. Like it's a holiday.
Yeah, as opposed
it
to
is.
the December 8th.
Right.
or whatever.
Right. So, it's going to get crazy. It's going to get
It's
busy.
gonna be fun. Yeah.
So thank you guys for tuning in to us
Yeah.
on your crazy, busy holiday craziness
Yep.
as it comes up and gets
Mhm.
nuts.
Mhm.
So hopefully there's some good deals on Black Friday. I hope you guys had a good weekend with that.
yeah.
Got
Yeah, I need to
something cool?
get, hopefully by this time after Black Friday, my wife and I were talking about upgrading our appliances. That's the
Ooh.
word. So getting a new fridge and microwave and all that stuff. She wants to do it all at once so that so it all looks the same.
Mhm. So it all matches.
Yeah, exactly. So we're thinking about trying to nab a Black Friday deal.
Yeah.
So
You guys should let
we
us
might
know
be out and around.
what Black Friday deals you guys
Yeah.
find, what you're excited about, and you can find us at
To tell us, yep.
80bitpodsmash.com, which is
Mhm.
our main landing page that has links to all of our social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, and we are at 80bitpodsmash across all of those. We should start a Black Friday subreddit. And I want to know, did you guys get that 4K TV?
Mhm.
Did you upgrade your PS4s to the PS4 Pro?
Yeah.
Did you get an Xbox One X? Did you get some games? Like, what are you getting? Let us know.
Ooh, I want to try to find some
Surround sound
I gotta try to
systems,
get some
cameras.
I gotta try to get some controllers. especially for Smash coming out.
Yeah, some GameCube controllers.
Yeah, or maybe another Pro.
Another Pro.
Yeah.
Maybe you can find a good deal.
Gotta find a good deal. All right. Well, finding good deals on Black Friday is one of our favorite things, but
doing this podcast is our favorite thing. Doing this podcast is our favorite thing. Ooh, you little
I get a little zest on it.
Yeah,
I like to put a little zest on it.
I see, a little spicy. Got a little something on it.
All right, favorite things. What's your favorite thing? Yo,
my favorite thing is I finally watched Kung Fu Panda for the first time.
Oh, you hadn't seen it for the first time.
It's been for I don't know how 2008 I think is when that movie came out. I don't even know. It was a long time ago. We were looking for something fun to watch with my son, and I was like, I haven't seen Kung Fu Panda, and I've heard so much good things.
Love Jack Black.
Yeah,
so
and
I'll
he
watch.
like nails it.
It's got like Lucy Liu and Jackie Chan. It's got like a bunch of like kung fu movie veterans.
It was so good. Yeah. It was really good. And kind of unpredictable. Like most kids' movies, you can kind of like figure out the plot, and you're like, yeah, I see how this is going to go. But it's not going to be spoilery because it's been so old. So if you haven't seen it yet, that's on you. Cause
there's like 4 of them out now. So
yeah. But like he learns how to fight by playing keep away from food. Like, because the panda's fat, and so he wants to eat, and that's what his motivation is. And it turns out he can do amazing karate moves with food as a motivation. So his teacher realizes that and plays a crazy advanced game of keep away from the panda to teach him how to fight. And then at the end of the movie, that's what he uses against the antagonist.
Yeah. What was the antagonist? Like, what animal was the antagonist again?
It was a big leopard.
That's right.
Cat thing.
Yeah.
Because the tiger was the
cat.
Yeah. There was a tiger as the main character, is one of the 5.
Yeah.
And then, there was like a dark cat of a bigger breed, I guess. I don't know.
Cool.
I don't know anything about cats.
Sweet. Yeah, it's a good movie.
That's
I
my
liked
favorite
it.
thing. It was awesome.
I remember enjoying it a lot more than I thought I was going to enjoy it.
It had me completely hooked. My 3-year-old was distracted, ran away, went upstairs. My wife was cooking, and like they were gone. I'm downstairs, like I'm gonna watch this. I'm not gonna stop.
Yep.
It was awesome.
Nice. My favorite thing, so like I mentioned a couple times on the podcast for the past couple of weeks, was this past weekend I went to 2 weddings in one weekend. So one wedding was down in Boone, North Carolina, which from where we live is about a 6-hour drive. And then that next Sunday, so Saturday was that wedding in Boone, and then the next Sunday we had to go up to Crozet, Virginia, which from where we were in Boone was like a 4.5-hour drive.
Ugh.
So it was a lot of driving in one weekend, but one of the things I look forward to with every wedding I go to is the food.
Oh, yeah?
What is the couple going to feed us? Who are they going to have cater their weddings? Both couples had great caterers, so we had great meals, but I'm going to highlight the one down from Boone. They had a food truck that was catering for them, and it was right up my alley in regards to like the food I like. So they had like
brisket.
They had like elk burgers. It was like burgers and fries. So they had elk burgers. They had like a boar. They called it like a wild game burger or whatever. And then they had like a barbecue chicken, but it was like a big chunk of chicken. It was like I'm holding up my hands. It was a good like 2.5-inch thick piece of like meat.
Yeah.
And then
like a chicken breast.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like a fried chicken breast. Yeah. And you could get it tossed in barbecue buffalo sauce or whatever. So I got that. I got it tossed in buffalo sauce. It had like blue cheese, and which I normally don't like, but on this thing it was baller. And then it had, gosh, what else did it have? It had like 3 different kinds of cheeses on it, and then it had like I guess like a tomato. It had tomato, lettuce, but like it was so good. Oh, bacon! It had bacon on it too. I was like, oh. And then they also had like, I mean, it came with fries on the plate, but again, this catering, this food truck, I mean, they did all the catering, so they did the hors d'oeuvres were like big hush puppies that had like a sauce that came with it, like a kind of like, gosh,
like a glaze, like a
hollandaise kind of sauce or something like that. And then they had all these breads with like a red pepper jelly and like they had all these dips and stuff like that. It was so like, the catering was this place. I don't remember what it was called. I wish I had remembered what the food truck was called, but it was a wedding weekend. There was so much going on. Yeah, they also had some pretty good beer there. Like they had this like wagon set up that had that had taps basically.
Wow.
And I think 2 of the beers that they had there, one was like a coffee porter, like it was like a coffee cinnamon porter, and it was awesome. That one was like that on tap like that. Yeah. And then the other one was they had just like a milk stout, but those two were like homebrews, I think, but they were both money. And
this sounds like the most hipster
It
wedding.
was so mason jars instead of a total hipster wedding. But the food, being this food truck, was amazing. So I was like, I was so full after eating that. It was huge. So I was so full after eating that, and I drank all that beer. Yeah, it was great.
You had you were able to sleep before you drove up 4.5 hours, right?
Yes, I slept. Well, I mean, it was also the fallback night, so I got an extra hour.
Yeah.
So I woke up at like 6 a.m, but it felt like 7, and I hadn't had so much. I mean, I'd had like five or six drinks, but I had that over the course of like 4 hours.
Yeah.
So by the time I got back into bed, I was fine.
Right.
So I wasn't really hungover.
Super full of food, long day. So you had a chance to sleep.
Yes. So we slept, and then we drove up. We actually pit stopped at my parents' house so that we could like shower and have lunch and then get ready. Then we had to drive another 45 minutes to get to the second wedding. But that pit stop was like, that was perfect because it was like 4.5 hours of driving to get to my parents' house. Then it was like, we took a break, we ate lunch, we showered, we changed, and then we drove.
Yeah.
We drove down to this.
That was the second wedding.
The second wedding was good, but the catering was a little bit more straightforward. It was like, like mac and cheese, barbecue. The husband, the groom, who I know, he's like super into fishing.
Yeah.
So they had like trout. I was like, perfect. I was like, that's a perfect. So I had some fish in honor of my friend Mitch. Shout out to Mitch. Congratulations. And that was good. It was good, but it was just, again, a little bit more straightforward food options than the other place. I just thought was really unique. Like, it was kind of like having bar food, but like fancy bar food for wedding food. So
sounds expensive.
It definitely came across as expensive. But that's favorite things then.
All right.
Woo!
Sweet.
We could move on to the next segment of our podcast, which is DLC. Downloadable content is the second segment of our podcast where we have kind of a mini discussion, a sub-discussion. Sometimes it's related to our topic, sometimes it's not. It's just kind of a little game, more like a game kind of topic than the main topic. So today's topic, as you guys may have noticed, I feel like it bears some explaining. We had researched and prepared an entirely different topic than the one we're going to talk about today. You will get to hear that one next week, and hopefully you'll enjoy it as much as you would have this week. But when we got together tonight and started talking, we realized we have a lot that we wanted to talk about in regards to like recent gaming news. Enough that we thought it warranted a entire topic all on its own, because the kind of running theme behind what we're talking about is hype. The idea of hype and getting hyped for, it could be more than video games, but in this case, video games, like how companies build hype and generate hype. And then consequently, the flip side, the other side of that coin, is disappointment. So when you get hyped about something only to find out that it's actually disappointing because your expectations weren't met.
It's all about managing expectations.
Yeah. So we'll that's what our conversations, that's going to be the kind of through line of our conversation, but we're going to hit some major kind of points of like recent gaming news in order to kind of highlight both hype and disappointment. So for our DLC today, we're going to talk about just sort of we're going to each pick the biggest moment that the hype met our expectations in video game history. It could be, it's not recent,
just in our lives.
Yep. The time when like we were hyped about something and it met that expectation, and another time where we were hyped about something and it significantly let us down.
Yeah.
So that's our DLC for today. Do you have yours?
I have half of mine.
Okay.
The hype moment one.
Okay.
And it's probably yours too.
Probably.
But the hype generated for Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time was completely met and surpassed when I finally got my hands on it. Yeah. I remember seeing it in magazines, and back then there was no internet, so you couldn't actually I have two.
Okay, that's fine.
So I'm going to start with this one. But it was magazines, and it was like maybe some TV ads, but not even that. Really, it's just magazines. That's all I remember. And reading up the history and showing the early screenshots, like GDC and E3, they were showing prototype builds and like what it could possibly look like on Nintendo's new 64-bit platform, which was completely out of my realm of, like, it was so good, it was so big and so awesome that it was just like, what is this going to be? And then it met and surpassed that. Like, nice. I remember being enthralled with Ocarina of Time the first time I wanted it so bad. I got it for Christmas and just played it. I mean, we talked about it on the podcast before. My grandma was napping, and I was like turning the volume down in the same room just to get as much time with it as possible.
Yeah.
My second one is hype for the GameCube. And this just hit me as I was talking.
Okay.
And that was like, for me, was my introduction to the internet was 2000, 2002. There was still like dial-up and stuff, but my parents never got internet until broadband. And as they showed off both Rogue Squadron 2 and Smash Bros. Melee,
okay,
I was amazed at this. This was like, I understood what the PS2 could do. And like I saw all that because, you know, the PS2, the GameCube, and the Xbox kind of the same generation. Mm-hmm. So I kind of knew what to expect with the next generation. But what I saw with the GameCube was just so much what I wanted in an N64 game, refined with high frame rates and high polygon counts and sharp edges and popping colors. Yeah. And like I was just amazed. And all of those games came out, you know, Rogue Squadron 2 and Smash Bros. Melee, and they met all of that hype. And I remember just like being dying to find computers to get online, whether I was at school or at friends' houses, or we went to an internet cafe to play like StarCraft and Diablo and Quake. And I was just like scouring IGN for what it was back then, leading up to those game releases. Yeah. And I was like, oh, and it totally was awesome.
You have a moment of disappointment?
I don't yet.
Okay,
but
I'll do my hypes.
Yeah.
Or hype, the main hype one. So we actually don't have the same one, but very similar. And mine is way more recent, but I was very hyped for Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
Specifically because it wasn't just Breath of the Wild, but it was the Switch too. Because you and I had been talking about the NX, like before we knew it was called the Nintendo Switch. We had both been talking about the NX, and we're both excited about what's the future of Nintendo going to look like. And I know that at first I was a little disappointed when they revealed the whole like handheld hybrid and the removable controllers, yeah. And the dock and all that stuff.
You mean that first like initial announcement trailer?
When it first leaked.
Okay.
The first leak from Eurogamer, I was like, really? That's what's going to be? That's lame. But then when they revealed it, I was like all in. I was like, this looks amazing. This looks like something I want. And this, again, it was one of those things where it's like, I didn't think I wanted it until I saw it. You know what I mean? Like you could describe it to me and I would have said even just as much as 2 years ago, gosh, has the Switch been out 2 years? Or like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, a year and a half.
If you had said, like, is that something you're going to want? I was like, no, I want like a powerful Nintendo console. But then when I saw it, it was one of those like, this is a thing that I didn't know I needed in my life until now. So it was the fact of like, again, it was the first thing. It was the most recent and maybe even the last time I stood in line at midnight for something.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know. We'll see what the future holds. But it's been a long time since I've like stood in line at midnight for a release of anything. So like when I went with my coworker to Best Buy, we met up
talking about it,
and we grabbed our Switches. I had ordered Breath of the Wild through Amazon. So I remember I called the post office at like 6 a.m. and I was like, hey, can you guys hold my mail? And then I drove down because I didn't want to wait till like 3 o'clock or 4 because I had taken the day off of work.
Right.
So I drove down. Exactly. I wanted to play. So, and I just remember, again, I was so hyped for that game, but I was a little bit worried. I was like, okay, I hadn't really played very many open world games up to that point. And so I was a little bit worried after my experience with The Witcher, where I kind of just like crapped out after 40, 50 hours, like what a normal game is usually, but like, that's nothing to The Witcher. And so I remember being like, okay, I hope I just don't get overwhelmed. I hope I don't hate this Zelda game. And I didn't. I loved it. I was in it the entire, like, again, the immersiveness and everything. It was everything I wanted it to be. It still felt like a Zelda game while just completely changing what it means to be a Zelda game and like completely adding a whole new, you've heard me rant and rave. Breath of the Wild comes up like
almost every time.
Pretty much almost every time. World of Warcraft.
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. So, do you have your disappointment yet?
I don't.
Okay.
Maybe because it's very, very difficult to disappoint me.
Okay. I have a disappointment one.
Go ahead.
So, oh gosh, I don't even remember when it was. It was before I got married. I remember I was living at home when it first came out. There's a game called WildStar, and WildStar was supposed to be the WoW killer. It was one of many quote unquote WoW killers. Okay.
It
was an MMO. It came to me at a time when I had, for the most part, quit WoW altogether, but had started kind of getting the cravings again. And so then I stumbled across this WildStar game, which was, it had a more updated kind of combat style where like the moves, in WoW, when you target something, you click on it and you cast Fireball, if your fireball gets off, it's going to hit that target no matter what. Whereas with WildStar, you actually had to like aim basically, and then like they also would telegraph all your attacks so people could like move out of them, and stuff like that. So it had this really interesting combat system, but it had like an art style that was very similar to WoW's, and it was set in like a sci-fi setting. So you went to like different parts of the planet, and there were ships, spaceships, and all of the races were like different alien races. There were cyborgs, there were humans, there were like giant rock people, and it was very, very WoW kind of style. And I remember like discovering it like 3 or 4 months before it like launched. And like just getting completely caught up in the hype train. I was like, this looks amazing. This is like, I got all my friends to buy it. Like I got everyone in, like all my friends. I was like, I showed them videos and they were like, this is awesome. So we all bought WildStar. And it had a monthly subscription just like WoW did. And so, you know, you paid $40 for the game and then $15 for the subscription. And I remember crapping out within like weeks. Like, not even like it was within like the first 2 weeks. I was like, it just didn't, I don't know. Maybe it was too much like WoW. You know what I mean? Like, and I just definitely like, I was just not immersed in the story. The combat was actually kind of clunky and obnoxious. And I never was really on at the same time as my friends, so I never really got to play with them, which is a killer for MMOs, as we've talked about before. So I definitely wasn't a fan of WildStar.
It's funny you mentioned MMOs as being a disappointment, because that just triggered a whole train of thought I never had yet.
Yeah.
There are actually 3 MMORPGs that disappointed me, and one of them was actual, like, I was really hyped for.
Yeah.
Was The Matrix Online. I was a Matrix nut.
Yeah.
I loved the movies. I was one of those dumb kids that loved the sequels and the third one when it came out. Right. I understand that it was bad, but I still loved it. I played...
That's fine. Respectable.
There's a like Path, not Path of Neo. Enter the Matrix.
Oh, yeah.
It was a GameCube, Xbox PS2 game.
Yeah.
Freaking awesome. I like 100%ed it, even when there wasn't trophies to incentivize it. I was just in. I loved The Matrix. So The Matrix Online was supposed to be this MMO. We got into the betas, luckily, so I didn't actually spend money on
fortunately.
it. And so we had a LAN party at a friend's house, and we all got the beta and jumped in, and it was the most clunkiest, confusing, like big... You talk about the epitome of a big, empty open world. Because it's a cityscape.
Yeah.
It's the Matrix. It's supposed to be this huge city. It was supposed to be amazing, and it was just completely empty. Nothing made any sense. Nothing was like told you where to go properly. You're always lost, and then everything kills you, because the combat system was this weird convoluted system with like chaining different types of things together, but also blocking and countering. And it was just, you know, hand-to-hand combat in an MMO, not at that, you know, when you're blocking and countering and doing moves, that's really detailed and like fine-tuned, and they just did it poorly. All of it was bad. Another one was hyped up by friends, much like you got your friends to buy WildStar. My friends got me to get Age of Conan.
Oh.
And that game was trash. That was garbage. I mean, you talk about the biggest, buggiest game. It was clipping. Nothing worked. The graphics they didn't run. The frame rates were just trash. And it didn't even like... I could run way better looking games on that computer than it was bad. But one of the other games I was really, really, really hyped about, and my friends made fun of me for a long time about it, was Final Fantasy XI. And I know I have some listeners here that play, both my brother and his friend James. They loved Final Fantasy XI. They got into it, and good on them, because what is good about that game, they did it. They nailed it. But I told my friends, no more Warcraft 3, no more Counter-Strike. This is the game. I'm going to play this.
And this was and only this,
And this was before World of Warcraft set any standards.
Yeah.
And so it ended up being polished.
Yeah, the standard was EverQuest.
Right, at the time, yeah. Dark Age of Camelot was another one that was
right.
Really popular.
If you want to hear more about that, you can listen to our MMO episode, which we did like a long time ago.
I feel like this is turning into one. But the game was polished. The chat system was unique. You could interact with Japanese players through an in-game translator, which was awesome. And the dialogue was all good. Like, the combat systems were good. The classes were fun. The art style was fun. So a lot of good qualities about the game. But it was so freaking slow.
Yeah.
You could spend an entire night finding a party to grind just for experience.
Yeah.
You're not doing quests. You're not fulfilling anything to develop your characters other than just level. You're just grinding enemies.
Yeah.
And you'd spend like 8 hours straight. I watched my brother do it with his guild, and they would just chain, because the game was built to like chain enemy kills to get more experience. Yeah. But all you're doing is just leveling up. You're not getting any gear. You're not progressing a story. And I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't. So the moment it required other people to play, like random people online, I always struggled to find parties.
Yeah.
So what my brother and his friend James did is they call them link shells, like guilds,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a core group of players on a schedule, and that's how you mastered that game. That's what it was about.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was kind of a disappointment to me. So I had 3 MMO disappointments.
Yeah, MMO was really disappointing, which, again, like last little piece for this DLC, it's not really even DLC, it's more of the actual discussion. We talked a little bit ago about, we had 2 episodes ago, we had our Pokemon episode, and we talked about, one of the things you said you wanted from Pokemon in the future was a Pokemon MMO.
Mm-hmm.
All of those experiences, including another disappointment for me was Elder Scrolls Online, like all of those MMO disappointments are the biggest reason why I am averse to the idea of a Pokemon MMO. Because even if it was done really well, just the nature of MMO, like I said, I would rather it be an open world single player game, like a big, massive open world single player,
like Breath of the Wild
game, like Breath of the Wild, or even Red Dead Redemption. You know what I mean?
Horizon.
Yeah, because then they could focus on the actual gameplay as opposed to trying to balance it from multiplayers and trying to make it something where you have to group up with people to do half the content.
Right.
So, because all of those, again, that's what MMOs are designed for, and for people who like that and can maintain that, I'm happy, because MMOs are still cool in concept. I really like the idea of like having a whole community of people to play with.
Yep.
But I am also generally these days averse to having to rely on other people in order to, and the whole idea of like when I was in high school and college, like, yeah, my raiding guild schedule was like, yeah, that sounds like a cool idea. Now as an adult, I'm like, I don't want to try to play around other people's schedules, you know what I mean? Or like you have to log in, as a parent.
Oh yes.
I know as going to be a parent, like, yeah, that won't fly.
Nope.
It won't fly with my wife. Like, for people who can do that with their marriages and make that work with their families, that's, again, awesome. I know my wife, and I know being as a new parent, I'm probably not going to be able to ever again, or for a very long time, like, schedule a raid time for 6 hours or whatever.
And something comes up like, sorry guys, I got a raid tonight. Can't do that.
Right, exactly. No way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna, I'm at the point in my life where I'm not going to pass on playing a board game or have drinks with friends. Or even, like, get together to play Smash Bros, whatever, like, just to raid. Yeah. Right. So that's why Pokemon MMO, I'm like, could it just be an open world game instead?
Yeah. So you can still play it on your own pace.
Exactly.
Your own terms.
Yeah, and still have a good, epic experience. Yeah. So, okay. Wow. 30 minutes into our podcast.
Yep. Sweet.
So, again, like I said, our topic today is kind of fast and loose. It's not really like something that it's gonna be different, but you know what? We like to try new things every once in a while, and this one's really off the cuff, last minute.
Yes.
But there were 3 kind of major games and game news things.
2 big announcement events, and then 1 game that released.
Yeah,
which is Red Dead.
And all of them kind of have to do with hype and disappointment. So, do you want to start off on the hype side of things, or do you want to start off on the disappointment?
We have 1 big hype. We can talk about all 3 topics over hype and all 3 topics over disappointment. But I figure we just go through them by topic and then talk about the hypes and disappointment of each.
Cool.
So
you want to start with Red Dead?
Is Red Dead, because the game is out.
It's out, yeah.
But the hype for it was insane.
Yeah, crazy.
So much so that games developers were moving games out of the release window to give their game a shot at selling anything. And I don't remember those details, but some games were pushed into November because trying to get away from Red Dead. Some games were brought forward to September. Oh, Battlefield 5. That was one of the games that was delayed.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to get away from the Red Dead window. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 was brought forward to get out of the Red Dead window.
Yeah.
So that nothing else was coming out on Red Dead weekend except Red Dead Redemption 2.
Which is crazy.
The history of the game is it's developed by Rockstar, which the last big game they came out with was Grand Theft Auto 5, and it is the single most best-selling game of all time, especially in this generation. Have you seen that infographic that shows all of the like launch years of Rockstar games, period? We should do a Rockstar developer profile as our next one. But you can see the launch window. They were like really steady of putting out games all through the 2000s. Yeah. And then when they hit the 2010s, their games started, like the development windows started to get longer and longer. Right.
And this is the first Rockstar game, like you said, since Grand Theft Auto 5, which came out what?
2008, 9?
Oh my gosh.
No, it was not.
No, it was later than that. No, but it was like 2011, 10 something like that. So this is the first one in like 8 years, which is insane.
Yeah. Really long. They had games like Max Payne, Bully, State of Emergency, Manhunt, So they had all those franchises kind of going, plus Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City and San Andreas. So yeah, you're right. They were like boom, 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 boom through the PS2 and the early Xbox 360, PS3 time, and then just nothing.
Yeah, so this is like Rockstar. This is like their re-debut back into...
And it made $750 million on its weekend.
Opening weekend. To understand the scope of this game for people who aren't gamers who listen to this podcast, this game in its opening weekend sold more units. No, made more money. It's not even sold more units. It made more money than Infinity War.
Yeah.
Avengers Infinity War, which is like the biggest movie. This is a huge game. Like,
massive.
Massive.
This does not happen regularly.
Right. Yeah. This is
I know you could argue that a movie ticket's $12 and a copy of the game is $60, which is why you don't look at the units sold, but the money made. Video game is also way more niche than the Infinity War. Infinity War, you can take your whole family to Infinity War and buy 6 tickets, 4 or 5, 6 tickets, and that's going to be the same price as buying the game for one person.
Yeah, exactly. And people are going to see, not to mention like repeat showings and stuff like that. Yeah. So.
Yep, people going back and seeing it again, right?
Yep.
You're only going to buy Red Dead once. So, I mean, you can kind of, do what you want with the number comparison to $12 to $60, but to me, it's outstanding.
Sure, it does. Yeah, at the end of the day, it is a piece of content that made more money than the biggest movie in the past.
Right.
Like,
and I think, I don't even know what the budget, well, I don't think it's public news what the budget was to make the game, but some really high budget games like Destiny, etc. from Bungie were pushing like the $200 to $300 million budgets. So if you can speculate, Red Dead had 800,000 lines of dialogue or some crazy number, like I don't even know. Maybe it had a budget of 400,000 or 500,000 or 4 or 500 million. They made all of that back plus more, like in one weekend.
Yeah. So needless to say, the game was very hyped. Before it came out, it was being talked about as Game of the Year. It was, the month leading up to the game's release saw nothing but 9s and 10s in regards to ratings and stuff like that. Yeah, the last time I saw a game that was that hyped was Breath of the Wild, really, quite frankly. And Breath of the Wild I was already hyped for and was already going to buy because it was a Zelda game. Red Dead Redemption is a game franchise I've never played before. I've never been a huge Rockstar fan and never gotten super into Grand Theft Auto. And I fell into the hype train. I was on board and I got it opening weekend, so I contributed to opening weekend sales. I didn't pre-order it. I didn't buy it right away, but by the end of that opening weekend with seeing things and hearing people talk about it and seeing videos and gameplay and stuff like that, what really sold it for me, I don't know if I told you this, but I don't know if I said it on the podcast. What sold the game to me was I saw a tiny clip on Reddit of, they were like, so this happened in Red Dead Redemption, and it showed him like sneaking up on a group of basically Ku Klux Klan members who were like all chanting in front of a cross. And he pulls out a stick of dynamite and throws it into the middle of them, and it blows up. And I'm like, that's it. I want to blow up some Ku Klux Klan members. I want to blow up some racists. So I was on board. And so that's kind of, again, that's just to explain like what the kind of hype train leading up to this game was
huge. Everyone expected this game to be a huge hit, and it matched.
I was gonna say, so what's the results?
It's rated 97 on Metacritic, which is like the highest rated PS4 game, like one of the highest. I haven't looked at them to see. It's also a 97 on the Xbox side too, which I think is the highest rated for Xbox. Yeah, I mean that says something about the Xbox, but that's a different story.
That's a whole different topic.
So I mean it has its hooks in me more than I anticipated it. I just want to play more all the time. I think about it. I'm looking stuff up. It's such a big, giant open world with so much extra stuff to do, extra content, extra side quests, collectibles, even things that aren't necessarily tracked. When I say a side quest or a collectible, it's something in the menu or in the GUI that you can go look at and track progress, but there's also just as much stuff that's not. Like, there's a hidden horse in the top left-hand corner of the map. That's one of the best horses in the game. But it's not tracked. It's not like a thing. It's not talked about in the game.
Right. They just sort of, like Breath of the Wild, they just kind of talk about it and expect you to kind of find it on your own. And there's some things that are marked, but yeah, it's more about just kind of, I think the word I want to use is immersion. I feel very immersed in the world of the game. I feel for as much as they kind of just drop you into it and start kind of, I didn't play Red Dead 1, so I didn't know who any of these characters were. I didn't know any of the context. I just knew there was cowboys in the Wild West, basically. I knew the main character's name, so when they talked before you actually got to play them, like, I knew which one was the one I was supposed to be playing because they said him by name.
Right.
Like, it's about all I knew. And though it kind of took me a while to kind of piece together what was going on because of my lack of context, like, now where I am, I'm very invested in the characters. Like, it's nice because you really feel part of the gang. Like, it feels like all the details that kind of go into the world, like I said, are very immersive. I feel like I'm part of the gang. I feel like I know the different personalities and dynamics of these characters in this gang. It's something that, again, a video game can do that other forms of media can't. Like, you can feel very invested in, like, for example, TV characters. So, like, I love the Firefly crew. I feel like the Firefly crew in many ways are my friends because I feel I'm very invested in those characters. But I never got to, like, talk and interact with them. I never got to go on, like, train robberies, like, with them and stuff like that, which I do with the characters in Red Dead.
Right. You can even go on fishing trips with them.
Exactly.
Like random, play dominoes with them. Play blackjack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Firefly is a very apt comparison. The everything, the music, the story, it's got none of the sci-fi elements, but, like, it's still, I mean, it's a Western, and Firefly was a Western too. The game really reminds me, I really like the Western kind of motif. And I have for a long time.
Yeah, it's set in like the late 1800s where civilization, the Industrial Revolution is happening. So like electricity is kind of
after
becoming...
30 years after the Civil War, I think, in the context of one of the quests.
Which would be 1895 or later. So like electricity is coming in, societies are becoming developed, the West is becoming less wild.
It's declining, the
Wild West is going away.
Yep.
Yeah. And so you're a part of a gang that had a failed boat robbery. I guess that's what they just talked about because we're so early in the game that the story hasn't really fleshed that out.
Yeah.
But you come back from like a failed boat robbery and you're hiding and running and you're in like a snowy woods up in the mountains, which is supposed to be like the Rockies. They call them the Grizzlies in the game.
Yep.
So you're like in the wild, well, you're in the West in the United States and it's all like rural, kind of like you're in the wilderness, but then you kind of work your way east and south.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's interesting because for a game that's billed as sort of a Western cowboy game, you'd think the sort of trajectory is like more and more west and trying to get away from civilization.
But the characters think the same thing because they're surprised we're moving east.
Yeah, exactly. The irony is that, like, you're actually moving more and more east towards civilization, and that's where the conflict comes from because the characters want to be in the West. They want to be free and wild, but they end up being forced and pigeonholed into circumstances where they have to keep moving closer to civilization. So it's just a really interesting kind of counterpoint to what kind of most Westerns end up the territory most Westerns kind of explore. Yeah. It's kind of doing the reverse of that. But very rich game world. It's not without its weaknesses. I would say
it has some weaknesses.
The saving, like, saving that game is a pain in the butt.
Like saving your game?
Like, yeah, not just the action of saving your game, but like the fact that like the manual save is locked in any quest that you're doing, any main quest you're doing, you get locked out of manual saves, which means if you make a stupid mistake, most of the time you're stuck with it. The other thing too is, like, again, part of it's like the immersion factor, but there's so many things that are annoying. Like if you're like, your horse can die and you can bring it back to life if you have an item, but if you don't have that item, you're left without a horse. And like, I've lost so many horses is basically the bottom line that I'm trying to say here. I have had to mercy kill so many of my horses.
Oh my.
Which is so sad because
because you don't follow the roads.
No, I don't follow the roads. You follow the roads religiously, don't you? Yes. Yeah, no, because the roads take so freaking long. Like,
they do take some roundabout ways.
It's a very large map and it takes a while to traverse it even on horseback.
And that's what the game kind of forces you.
And the game kind of recommends you to go on these roads, but you can.
And the fast travel system isn't really like easy to use. You have to go to a town and find a stagecoach to fast travel to the nearest town to get you to your spot,
or you have to go to
woods.
or you have to go to your camp.
Otherwise, you have to ride. So the game forces you to like ride everywhere.
It does, and so I cut across a lot of territory often, and most of the time I'm okay. I'm getting better at it too. I'm getting better at figuring out when and where I can cross versus when I should follow the road.
You have a topographical map. It tells you where the hills are. And cliff sides.
Okay, yeah, I'm not great at reading topographical maps apparently because I follow. And sometimes there are some spots where I'm like, I should not have lost a horse there. Like it wasn't that big of a fall, and yet my horse will then be like, all of my legs are broken, and it's like they do very realistic like animal animations and sounds. I feel really bad for a lot of the animals I kill. Also, when you skin an animal, you skin it.
Oh
like,
yeah, it shows.
It's not just like, and then like the like then it's a pile of bones like it is in like every other game. No, you literally see and like the flesh and the meat and the sinew and all that.
Yeah.
You see it like rip and tear. It's wonderfully gruesome.
But
definitely, like, it definitely shocked me the first time. I was like, oh my, whoa!
Peeling that back.
Wasn't ready for that. Yeah, exactly.
I was talking about how you're almost forced to ride everywhere, and I've noticed because of the road system, when you do put a waypoint anywhere, there's a dotted red line to the nearest road.
Yep.
So it kind of guides you to a road, and then it highlights that road in red, and you can follow it on your minimap. So it kind of has this system where all of the things that you can happen upon are close to the roadways. I've noticed.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're in the middle of the wilderness, they do a good job of putting things like hunting legendary animals
that's another
and
thing.
finding treasure maps off the trail.
Some of those things, though, some of those random events and stuff are like, oh yeah, simple, short, easy, fun kind of things. Some of them are like, you just got ambushed by a rival gang who killed my horse.
So you still lose the horse.
They gunned my horse down. I was so mad. Yeah, I killed them all, but they gunned my horse down. I was
I think all
mad.
of that whole system is awesome because, like, I'll think of, I have some loot from this previous mission. I want to go to this fence. The fence is the name of a thing you sell your junk to, I guess. I don't know why they're called fences. That's weird.
That's
a thing.
It's a term, yeah.
Okay.
You don't watch a lot of crime shows, do you?
No.
Yeah, they always talk about having you have to get a fence. The idea of a fence is you got this piece of jewelry, or you got this, you stole something.
Yeah, it's like belt buckles, jewelry, watches.
Yeah, you stole something that you clearly shouldn't have. And the fence is the person who will have the connections to sell that discreetly.
Okay.
So that's what like if you ever want to go into the business of fencing, you need to make a lot of like unreputable contacts and get to know a bunch of people who are willing to buy stuff from unreputable sources on the down low and discreet. And then that's your whole business model.
So that's why there's like 2 in the whole world.
And you take a cut, of
Red Dead.
Yeah, and they're always like, oh yeah, we won't tell the law. Don't worry.
Well, yeah, I figured it was kind of skeevy.
Like skeevy
I figured
guys,
that out.
Yeah.
So anyway, you pick like, okay, I got a bunch of loot from this quest and I want to go sell it at the fence. So you pick the waypoint for the fence, which is an hour or whatnot. No, I'm exaggerating. It's probably a 5-minute ride on horse, which is a long time. You go on that road and you can be distracted by anything. Like you can get ambushed. You can find another little side quest, someone who's trapped, to help them ride them to a different town. To like, you find some dude with a treasure map and you get distracted. And it's just so much. The world is very alive. It's very filled and fleshed out. And I think it's indicative of modern open world games. I think Horizon did that. Breath of the Wild did that. The Witcher does it. The Witcher is a little bit more grindy. But they're figuring those things out. The success of The Witcher has dictated the movement of the gaming industry, and now we have Fallout 4, and pretty much any big, like, all the Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey jumped ship and did the same thing. It's like we're just seeing this, like, pool of open world games. They're everywhere. Watch Dogs 1 and 2, The Division. Now we're having a sequel for that. I mean, you can just list all of these games are jumping over to open world games, and Red Dead nails it. And I think it's awesome. It totally met the hype. The animations are unreal. The facial details, the graphics are amazing for what it is. I mean, I think tighter experiences like God of War, I think looks better graphically. But for what you're getting with Red Dead, the giant open world, the lighting effects, the night and day system, the random weather, I mean, it's so detailed. The snow and the mud and footprints and all those things, those are like great icing on the cake to kind of give you that immersion you look for. The dialogue, voice acting is spot on, AAA, top quality, like Pixar level. Yeah, for amazing.
Sure. I was gonna say that's another thing that, like, again, we talked about in our very first episode of video games as a form of art, and just the sheer amount of detail that's gone into, like, the voice acting and the story, like the writing, the acting, and just the entire, like, the way that the world adapts to the choices you make. Again, it's very, very, like, again, I would say I'd give it my stamp of art.
Yeah.
I had another friend who, another kind of theater contact of mine who similarly, like, when the game came out, he was basically like, he works for a university, and he works for the theater department of a university, and he said, the university at my alma mater actually, and he said, like, for any of you who are actors who don't take video games seriously as a lucrative acting job, like, you need to change your mind now, because this is a game that
go do it.
That kind of changes that paradigm.
Is there anything else you want to say about Red Dead?
Let's move on to our next hype train. Right. So the other big thing. Okay, so this is kind of fun because when we recorded 2 episodes ago, I think it was our Pokemon. Yeah, it was our Pokemon episode. We talked about the Grinch leak and Smash Bros.
Yep, and Smash Bros.
For those who have been tracking and listening to this podcast as they air, you will have realized that episode will have aired after the Grinch leak was already revealed. The fate of the Grinch leak was revealed. Let's put it that way, because we'll get into the details here in a second. So, we want to talk about the Grinch leak post-mortem now that we know from the point of view, from the perspective that we have. It is now, when we are recording this, after the Smash Bros. Direct from November 2nd. And we now know the fate of the Grinch leak and want to talk about it, because we talked about it before it was revealed, and now we want to talk about it afterwards. So, for those who have been paying attention and remember, I said that I demanded a foot massage if I was right about the Grinch leak, and would give Termite a foot massage if the Grinch leak was proven false. And you guys already know this, but drumroll please. It's false. It was wrong. And so I owe Termite a foot massage.
And it was made false almost immediately by the position of Ken, because Ken was the first fighter revealed. Yeah, there was a Nintendo Direct on the 2nd.
Yeah, let's really quickly kind of let's give the background. So the background is there was a Nintendo Direct on the 2nd. Before the Nintendo Direct, for about 2 weeks, there was this big leak. We kind of go over the details, but they call it the Grinch leak. And the bottom line is it was revealing 5 characters who are irrelevant. We'll say specifically Geno, Isaac, and Banjo, among 2 other characters.
Of course, Kids Mock Rider.
Yeah, and Shadow the Hedgehog and Ken.
Yep.
And those are the characters that were supposedly
the leak
going
was this
to
guy
be...
who apparently worked at the marketing place that prints all of the marketing materials for Nintendo, who worked for Bandai Namco.
Right, and which is why it's called the Grinch, because in the background of the picture you can see material for the new Grinch movie, and that kind of lended some credibility to the leak. So the leak had, again, one way or another, leaks or no leaks, there was a lot of hype leading up to this.
We knew there was more characters to be announced.
Because we knew there were more characters to be announced, and we knew the characters that had been announced up to that point had all been fan favorites. Had all been very, popular picks. There had been some Smash ballot for Smash 4 that it was clear that a lot of the popular picks from the ballot were the characters they had chosen for newcomers for Smash. So characters like King K. Rool, Ridley, Isabelle, Daisy, Simon Belmont, they were all characters that were very high on that ballot that people wanted in Smash. And so, knowing that they had been picking newcomers from the ballot, that the only characters they could reveal were completely new to Smash, and that there were more characters to reveal, and that this was going to be the last Direct before Smash Bros. Came out, all came together, leaks or no leaks, all came together to, this is going to be super hyped.
It was massive. It swelled so much.
Yeah, Smash Bros. Was on.
Twitter was all about Smash Bros.
Smash
Reddit
Bros.
was all about Smash
Reddit,
Bros. It was
the
just
front page.
Every podcast was talking about the Grinch leak. I watched a podcast of the Kind of Funny crew, and Tim Geddes is one of them, just going nuts. He had a 50-some slideshow, slides that were marking the Grinch leak and showing all the characters in the proof. He was in it. He was so hyped for this thing, building and building and building.
Yeah, there was hashtag Team Real, hashtag Team Fake. There was other leakers, Vergeben being the big one, and Vergeben, his whole thing was he had said that no, the 2 characters are going to be Ken and Incineroar, and that's it, based on my quote-unquote inside sources. So again, people were there were people who were wanting him to be wrong and wanting the Grinch leak to be right.
Yeah, everyone was picking sides. Who'd have thought?
There was exactly. There were sides, there was everything. The day of the Direct came. The very first thing they show is a cinematic where Ken is fighting Lil Mac. And up to that point, it was still anyone's game because, again, Ken was one of the Echo Fighters shown in the Grinch leak. So everyone's so we're all waiting, and you can kind of see in the background, there was a moment where you could see these eyes light up in shadows. And in my mind, I was oh, it's Shadow.
Right.
But then, again, he jumped out, and it was Incineroar, and immediately, so I'm watching this live, and immediately I go,
there's a disappointment.
There's an immediate drop, because I was on quote Team Real, and I wanted, it wasn't so much that I believed the Grinch leak was real, but it was more that I really wanted it to be real because of Isaac and Geno. So, and Banjo. I mean, I like the idea of a Western character because it opens up so many doors. So I was really excited for a lot of reasons for the Grinch leak, and it was an immediate letdown because not only did I know that the other dude was right, that the guy who said it was Kennen Incineroar and that's it was right. But then immediately he was like, yep, this is our last character. Incineroar is the last character for the base roster. Yeah. That's what Sakurai said. And it was just like, it was an immediate sense of disappointment.
The Direct announced so many things. So it was characters, and then it was like more assist trophies, more stages.
They revealed
most of the meat of it was the spirit mode.
The spirit mode, yeah.
And then the single player World
Adventure,
of Light.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the World of Light we didn't know about. So they go talk. So the spirit mode was the grayed out thing. And so when they revealed this, so at first they waited. They didn't say that there was going to be a single player adventure mode. What they said was, here's the spirit mode. And what it was it was supposed to replace trophies. And it was this sort of collectible thing where you can collect a bunch of characters from all kinds of video games. So this is where they're including all the sort of third party. This is like their major third party.
And Nintendo history.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you collect these spirits and you use them to attach to your characters, and they give you different bonuses.
You have a main spirit, 3 support spirits.
Blah, blah, blah. It's a system that's going to not be used by the majority of Smash players because it has nothing to do with sort of the esports factor of Smash.
Yeah. And it's also the replacement for what you guys may have known as the events. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Those were awesome. Those were like really cool kind of side story fan theory almost-esque battles and fights.
It would be things like
that you could have grades. You do like easy, medium, hard. You had in-game unlocks for those things. The spirit mode replaces all of that. It has those little like in-game kind of like fan theory type situations. I remember they're showing a bunch of different colors of one fighter, and it was kind of indicative of a group fight. I don't remember what it was, of characters that aren't in Smash. But they have, and when you finish that, you get the spirit for that character that's represented. I'm really drawing a blank for the example of what I'm trying to say.
It's okay. It's at the end of the day, it wasn't the adventure mode that people were expecting. So then it was I was like watching that and I'm like, what? This is like nothing that we want. They did, to their credit, the last thing they revealed was the adventure mode. And so the idea of the adventure mode, and this is going to be the way that you unlock characters, presumably.
Probably. They haven't said that.
I mean, but it looks like in the gameplay video that they showed, it kind of looks like that's what's going to be happening.
There's always been 3 ways to unlock a character. 1 is their single player thing.
Yeah.
2 is X amount of Smash fights. It's like 500 fights you unlock a character. And the 3rd way is do something weird. Like to unlock Roy, you have to play Marth 8 times or something.
Yeah.
So like those are the 3 kind of categories to unlock characters. And we imagine and speculate that that's not going to change. So single player could be one avenue to unlock characters.
Right. Yeah. So anyways, the story of Smash. So they did reveal early on at E3, they were like, oh, you're going to start with a base roster of just the original 8 characters.
And they showed that off in this Direct too.
Yeah.
So which I love. I think it's awesome.
So the kind of the story is that like all the characters get like turned into spirits, and the only one that escaped is Kirby. So you get to like start off as Kirby, and you have to basically unlock all the other characters in the adventure mode. So it's still like a cool adventure mode. I can get behind that, but again, they waited to, the kind of like, it was like a balloon deflating and just kind of flying across the room. Like, it's how I felt, because it's just like, they popped the balloon for me. They popped my hype balloon with Incineroar.
Yep.
And then
they took the bits and scubbed them into the mud by showing you the assist trophies of Isaac.
Yes,
Shadow.
So the assist trophies are well regarded in the Smash community as a death knell for desired characters.
Yep.
Because if they're showing it, because again, it's not one of those precedent things. We've seen former assist trophies become playable characters in jumping from game to game. Lil Mac is a great example. He was an assist trophy in Smash 3 Brawl, and then became a playable character in Smash 4. But we've never seen it within the same game. We've never seen like an assist trophy. We've never seen like Shadow as an assist trophy then become DLC.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it's just kind of unlikely. So Shadow, Skull Kid, Isaac, and Springman were all revealed to be assist trophies, and so their chances of being DLC characters basically just completely got axed.
And we're talking about disappointment here, and whether it's legitimized or not. And so I think those points that you just made are actual like legitimate areas where you as a gamer can feel disappointed.
Yeah.
And another one was Rex. He was the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 character that they just relegated to as a costume.
For the
which is what they did with Geno in Smash 4.
Yep.
And it's like,
Yeah, the other thing people are worried about, though, it's more or less confirmed that it's probably not going to be a problem, but they revealed a lot of characters, like Shantae and other characters, are spirits. And so people are like, well, if they're spirits, does that mean they're not going to show up as characters? And there's some evidence to point to the fact that that's not the case. That any character who's shown as a spirit could still possibly be.
Yeah, because spirits are kind of the replacement of the trophies and stickers.
Yeah.
If you remember from previous games, the whole sticker system.
Yeah.
So, this is like the new thing.
Here's my assessment. So I found in kind of just sort of researching, reading people's reactions, there's two reactions. There's two extreme reactions, I should say. The one extreme is, this is awful, this is the worst, death threats, my character didn't get into Smash, petulant, whining child, I'm an adult male who didn't get what I want, so I'm going to complain about it.
Blow up all over the internet.
That is, in my mind, a complete wrong way to react to anything. like so,
a book, a movie,
yeah, completely, yeah. So I will say that form of disappointment where it becomes outrage, the toxic outrage, that is an unacceptable level of disappointment. However, there is another extreme reaction that people had, and that was sort of the self-righteous, like, this is still going to be the biggest and best Smash game that has ever come out. Like, this is still like a dream roster. There's 70 characters. They brought back all of the characters from every Smash game. Like, and gave us a bunch of newcomers. Like, what do you have to complain about? What do you have to be disappointed about? And I think that's such a high and mighty, like...
Yeah, and they use, like, the blood, sweat, and tears of Sakurai as their ammo. They're like, he just slaved hard for this thing.
You're ungrateful. You're an ungrateful fan. And I will say, like, this is my statement on that. This is Penguin's philosophical ground to stand on, and that
lay it on the Podsmashers.
That is, ambivalence is okay. What I mean by that is, ambivalence by definition is feeling two things at once, simultaneously. It is okay to both be disappointed and be grateful and not really know how to reconcile those two emotions. Like, I, for one, am still super hyped for Smash Bros. I am counting down the days till December 7th. I cannot wait. We are taking the weekend off. We are going to play probably in the same room together, just completely separately on our own consoles. We're going to have a big party.
As many characters as possible.
Exactly.
Giant party on Saturday.
We're going to have a huge party. So I am still hyped. I am still excited. I am also incredibly disappointed that characters that I really wanted and was really hoping, and again, the leak, I fell for the leak trap. Like, that's on me, but nevertheless.
Because it bolstered some hype.
Exactly, but nevertheless, it only put fuel on a fire that was already there.
Right.
You know what I mean? It didn't light the fire. It didn't say, like, because I was still expecting big things. I was still expecting one big final, like, reveal from Nintendo, one big, and Ken and Incineroar are just not exciting characters for me. Like, I'm happy for Street Fighter and Pokemon fans, but I'm just not thrilled about those characters. It's been a few weeks since the leak was proven fake, and in hindsight, I can now say, I think those are two great characters for Smash. I'm no longer like, I don't hate either of those characters, and I will probably play both of them and enjoy them. I do think it was a mistake on Nintendo's part to end with those two characters.
I do too.
That's kind of the major feeling. That's kind of the major, I think, that most people on, like, the Smash Reddit would sort of, even the people who are disappointed would say that's probably, again, it is still a gut punch that Shadow, Isaac, Skull Kid, and Springman are, like, it's still kind of a gut punch that they're assist trophies, because that really is such a death knell. And it was, again, waiting so long. I would have rather them just shown Isaac when they showed Waluigi, for example, at E3. Right. I would have rather just them show all the characters that are assist trophies, so we didn't
have that expectation.
Exactly. Yeah. We didn't have that hope. We didn't hold it. But the fact that they weren't shown as assist trophies was being used as evidence for the fact that they might be playable characters, because, like,
kind of
they used to be assist trophies, and so if you haven't seen them yet, then maybe they'll be playable characters. And so again, that kind of falsely built hype as well. So I would rather them just, like, again, like, rip that Band-Aid off at E3. Like, I would have way rather.
Honestly, Ridley should have been the last character announced.
I agree. Or either Ridley or K. Rool, because those two characters were the two, in my opinion, I think those were the two biggest hype ones. And again, those were two that kind of fueled the hype. You know what I mean? That kind of fueled that idea.
They swapped, put K. Rool first at E3 as being the big E3 announcement. Put Ridley last. And then all the other characters kind of in the middle.
Filled in the middle, yeah. Isabelle could stay where she was, because that coincided with the Animal Crossing announcement.
Right.
If they had done Incineroar in place of K. Rool.
Yep.
So the Incineroar was K. Rool was in the one that they showed, like, the Belmonts and the other Echo Fighters, Chrom and Dark Samus. If they had done Incineroar in place of K. Rool and then done Ken with K. Rool.
Yeah.
Because that would have been perfect too, because K. Rool's whole thing was he boxes as well. So he could totally have been boxing with Ken.
Yeah. Like, so it's just talking about how, like, Nintendo could have, as a company, assessed the landscape, the environment, figured out what was going on to kind of feed their game to make it seem better. That's what PR is.
Yes, exactly.
It's not really spinning or polishing or putting a positive light on it, but it's also understanding your audience and, like, knowing when to release what and how to say it. And they
which is a great segue into our last hype train I want to talk about.
Yes, which was BlizzCon.
Which was BlizzCon, because you just said that's what PR is all about, knowing when to reveal announcements in order to best present your game in a way that gets people excited for it and want to buy it.
Right.
So let's talk about BlizzCon.
BlizzCon.
Let's again, we'll lay the context. So hype train. We'll get the hype train rolling. So
what were people anticipating going into BlizzCon?
Yeah, so it's been 2012 was when Diablo 3 was released.
Yes.
And then 2000, I want to say 13 or 14 is when Reaper Souls came out. Those are the last Diablo games that came out. So that's 5 years ago since
they added
we've had a Diablo game.
pack last year.
They added the Necromancer pack, which was the last major content addition to the game, and they've made some great quality of life improvements to the game over time. So but I will say that it still has been 2 years, 2 whole BlizzCons, because BlizzCon's an annual conference. It's been 2 whole BlizzCons since we've gotten any Diablo news.
They skipped a year.
They skipped 2016.
It's actually been 3 years.
So it's been 3 years since since Diablo has been featured and focused on as in a major way from Blizzard's attention. So you can understand how Diablo fans would get kind of antsy.
Oh, yeah.
The fans of the franchise, we love Diablo, and we want to see the franchise move forward. We want to see a Diablo 4 someday. I would love to see another expansion to Diablo 3 to keep the game going, add another class, add another act. An Act 6 would be great, awesome. So, a lot of Diablo fans.
And there was there was a tweet of a Diablo light switch.
Like a new, there was
back when that was there's the Nintendo Switch speculation about the release of that. And then
over the summer,
Blizzard responded with, we are working on multiple
specifically
Diablo
like a new
projects.
director, a new person took over the Diablo franchise, and she came out in an interview and said that we are working on multiple Diablo projects. It was revealed that one of those was the Switch near the end of the summer, the Switch port, which is awesome. Great move. I totally agree with.
Yeah.
So that was like the first one. It was like, multiple Diablo projects. Number 1 is Diablo port for the Switch, Diablo 3 for the Switch.
Yeah.
Then BlizzCon's lineup showed up, and it was like, there's right after the opening ceremony, there's going to be a panel that's Diablo, what's next?
Yeah.
So putting that panel right after the opening ceremony led people to believe that Diablo was going to be the highlight, like the focus of this BlizzCon, which made sense because WoW's expansion already dropped this year. Overwatch really focuses more on the esports these days, and there was the expectation that they would add a new character, which they did, Ashe. But other than that, there's not a lot. Hearthstone's getting a new expansion, but that's kind of par for the course. They usually reveal that at BlizzCon, and Hearthstone, again, is kind of a smaller property. And then Here's the Storm, they expect a new character. So, other than barring...
what did they announce with StarCraft?
A new champ commander or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
that's right.
They added,
thing. Yeah. And then Warcraft 3.
Well, we didn't know about Warcraft 3, so that was a reveal. But so I'm just like, leading up to it.
Okay, gotcha.
Other than so we expected there was going to be a remaster, which ended up being Warcraft 3. So, yay,
freaking not more than just yay. We'll talk about that later.
We'll get to it. But the other thing was, again, so the idea was, okay, either the major focus is going to be Diablo or a new IP. But people weren't expecting a new IP at this point, so there really was like the expectation that it was either going to be something bigger with Diablo.
Yeah.
BlizzCon comes. I remember I watched it. You and I both watched it live because I was like, I had the day I was working from home, and I was like, oh sweet, I'm gonna watch this.
Yeah.
Watch this as it airs, because you could watch the opening ceremony without purchasing the virtual ticket. Again, the hype continues because they saved Diablo for last, so
which we also didn't expect.
Well, yeah, exactly. So I was like, they're either gonna open on Diablo or they're gonna save Diablo. And it became very clear that they
switched games. It was like, it's not Diablo.
It's not Diablo. Okay, yeah. So the hype's building and building and building, and then they get to it, and what do they reveal? Just tell them. I can't even say it. I can't even say
Diablo Immortal, and that is a cell phone game.
Yeah, it's a mobile game.
Yeah,
it is a mobile game. That is, from what people are saying, it's being co-developed by a mobile developer, and people, I forget what it's called, but it basically is a reskin of an existing game. And again, the way they presented it was, this is something that you all are going to definitely want.
Right.
And again, you have to keep in mind the context here is Blizzard is king of PC games right now. Like,
that's the only reason I have a computer to play PC games at all.
It's a convention center. Blizzard. It's a convention center full of PC gamers, and they say in this panel, in a room full of PC gamers, someone rightly asks, "Is there at least going to be a PC port of this game?" And they said, no. And so the room of PC gamers rightfully, in my mind, booed that.
That's
again,
a whole other discussion. Is booing okay?
Yeah, booing is, in my mind, I come from a theater background, so in my mind, booing is totally fine.
Right.
We should be more okay with booing when
if we can cheer, we can boo.
Exactly, yes. If we can cheer, we can boo. And so booing, in my mind, is completely fine, like a completely fine response. As long as they're not like throwing things or death threats or anything like that, then
being respectable.
A boo is, I am displeased with this performance that you were putting on. Yep. And so that was perfectly acceptable. I am displeased by what you're presenting to me. And his response was, what? Do you not have phones?
Yeah.
My favorite comment, there's like, again, the most upvoted, for real. The most upvoted comment after that was, on YouTube, on that video, was, yeah, we've got microwaves too. It doesn't mean we want to play Diablo.
Right.
So I know what Blizzard's doing. They're trying to go after the mobile market. They're trying to get more people into Diablo so that when they release a Diablo 4, they're more likely to have people buy it.
There is unbelievably overwhelming evidence to prove if you have a good mobile game, you can make millions. You can print money.
Sure.
There is so much money
and
to
Hearthstone
be made.
is a great example of that. Hearthstone is a mobile game that Blizzard has made that has made a ton of money.
Yep.
But
so it's a smart business move for Blizzard to make a mobile game for Diablo.
Yeah, for sure.
Smart. Objectively, this is a good move for them.
Yes, it is a good move. It is probably going to be a decent game, all things considered. The problem, again, and what we're talking about here, what we're trying to highlight, is the presentation, is the time, the place, and the method, the way by which they decided to reveal and announce this was so completely bass-ackwards.
It was the worst way possible to announce a mobile game.
Worst way possible. Yeah, just completely again. And
I wanted to be in the meetings that they've made these decisions with BlizzCon to what are we going to talk about? How is this presentation going to go
Which
down?
one are we going to end with? What are we going to try to... It was so, there was booing, the poor guy... on the opening ceremony was stumbling over the words. It was so incredibly awkward and uncomfortable to watch from all the way across the country. It was bad. And I just, even if they had just shown the Diablo 4 logo or something, given some taste that this game is in development, but it was nothing. It was all this, we are working on Diablo. Blizzard had said, we want to give Diablo serious attention. We still consider it one of our major franchises. We still consider it as important to us as Overwatch or World of Warcraft. Only to reveal that was just it was just really, really dumb.
I've heard this from other podcasters. I've read this stuff online, so it's not really my original idea. But if you look at Bethesda's E3 press conference, some people question, why did you talk about is it Starlink?
Starlink, yeah.
Or is that the game that just came out with Star Fox in it?
You're right. That's Starlink. The new game is Starfield? Yeah, that's it. The fact that we both said it at the same time, I think is right.
Starfield, and then they even announced Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah.
Now, each of those games are 5 to 6 year development cycles. So we're not going to see Elder Scrolls 6 until 2026, 2027 on different hardware than we even have, right? But they announced it. You know why? Because Fallout 76 is so unlike what Bethesda has ever done. It's an always online Fallout game, and they were scared of the fan feedback. So what they did was talk about Fallout 76 as their new game.
Yeah.
It's an online-only game. Knowing that people weren't going to like it, they're like, this is not the direction Bethesda is headed. It is something we're passionate about, and this project is going to be here, but we are listening to our fans. Here's Starfield's coming. We're going to have more to show next year because they're working on it now. It's actually progressed in development. And then way later down the line, you're going to get Elder Scrolls 6, and it will be single player, and it will be everything you want.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And even again, other good examples are what Nintendo did with Metroid 4, Metroid Prime 4, was they're this game, here's the logo. This game is coming. It's in development. You'll see things about it. Might not. We still haven't seen. It's been a year. We still haven't seen any gameplay or trailers.
We're anticipating the Game Awards. There being a Metroid Prime 4.
That would be great. But even if they don't do that, again, it's sort of a promise to the fans, like you said, that this is the direction the franchise is headed. And Blizzard has had to backpedal to say, no, we're not going to turn Diablo into a permanently mobile franchise. We are developing. So props to them. Like, again, they are working on, they haven't said it, but they are working on Diablo 4.
Yep. There's even some inside people who talked to Jason Schreier of Kotaku have actually said anonymously there were plans to talk about Diablo 4 that were pulled from the BlizzCon.
Debunked. That was debunked.
That was?
Yeah.
Really?
That Kotaku came out like printed an edit to that and said that, so the real story, and this is another kind of frustrating point. I actually wish I hadn't read this. But what the real story is they didn't actually have announcements. They really wanted to for the past like 2 years or something like that. Like want this BlizzCon to be the time where they reveal Diablo 4.
Yeah.
They wanted to, but they didn't. They never had anything on print because what's been happening with Diablo 4 is they've changed lead developers so many times that the game's gone through like 3 or 4 different iterations, and they haven't landed on like a vision for the game yet. So they never were going to announce Diablo 4 because they haven't had a clear vision for what the game's going to be.
I see what you're saying. Okay, so the fact that it was maybe a BlizzCon,
there's not really a game yet, is really the bottom line. There's a development team, and there is work on Diablo 4, but the game there's no game yet. There's no game in anyone's head yet because they haven't sat down, and which is also disappointing because it means we're still really, really far off.
Way off.
From Diablo 4. And honestly, this is the same thing that more or less happened with Diablo 3, which is why Diablo 3 didn't come out until...
And when it did...
Almost 15 years after.
Do you remember that launch?
Oh, yeah. Diablo 3 has gone through significant improvements, but Diablo 3's launch was also a kind of a hype letdown, like a disappointment. So
BlizzCon
there's a history of that with Diablo, and so that's why people get so... That's part of the reason why... the people are upset is because this is just another example of the way that that Blizzard doesn't take Diablo seriously. At least from the perception of the fans, which
especially now.
Again, it may not objectively be true, but it doesn't matter what's true in a lot of ways. What matters is how you come across, because this is business. This is an industry. This is a market. And Blizzard and Nintendo, like, again, like the reason we're talking about this is like developers and producers, publishers, like the industry, people in the industry who are making games need to be aware about these things now more than ever, because we've seen so many bad examples of it this year where developers reveal information either in a bad order or in such a way that makes the fans feel like they're not listened to, but makes them feel like their favorite franchises or favorite games are not. It really makes them feel like they're not being taken seriously, because if your favorite games, because it's not just that, it's the idea of like, if Blizzard never made another Diablo game, that's fine, but I want to see Blizzard make like other good games. Like I want Blizzard to put all their effort on Heroes of the Storm and Hearthstone.
Right.
I want Blizzard to continue to make good, solid, great games that resonate with me, and not just the stuff that they're making to make money. I guess it's the dichotomy
feels like
there.
A cash in, shallow.
I'm
just following the business and trying to make as much money,
as opposed to still trying to make good games. Yeah, right. It's more about making money than making good games. Is what it feels like. Whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Which is again what I appreciate about Bethesda is they're like we're making this game that's kind of a risk, that's kind of a passion project for us, but we also are still going to make the games you want. And so yeah,
it was like perfect. Square Enix did the same thing with Kingdom Hearts 3. It was supposed to be a PS3 game, announced it way too early, changed developers, push. It's finally coming out January 29th of 19, but, that's... How did that hype, expectation, disappointment kind of go, and how will that affect sales and the reception of that game having been so long? Yeah. And then you have the Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was announced way too soon. Yeah. Death Stranding, announced way too soon. So there is there's other examples out there, and those aren't met with as much disappointment as Diablo Immortal was, but it's still like an idea, it's a learning thing. The industry needs to learn how to communicate the release of their games, what they're developing, what they're working on, and cater hype in a world of Twitter and Facebook and Instagram today. It's different than what it was before. Past ways aren't going to work. And you need to be a part of your fan base. You need to have those people. And Brizzle McFizzle, being a community manager, was that job. She was living in the social media world for their company.
Yeah.
And responding. And we need to have more of that.
Yeah.
And this is clearly...
I think transparency is the word that comes to mind here, because honestly, I'm still of the mindset that like it's a game like Death Stranding, for example. I would rather it get delayed and still come out good.
Well, yeah. I mean, Shigeru Miyamoto has the famous quote that's like, a delayed game is good once it's done. A bad game is forever bad.
Yeah,
regardless of what you do to it.
Sure. Yeah. So a rush game. So I still am of that mindset, because I mean, same thing with the games like Destiny 2, whereas like, yeah, from all accounts, it seems like they get better over time, but like... But when they come out, they're bad. Destiny 1 had the same problem. Like, it was bad when it first came out. Because again, these things are rushed. So I am still of the mindset that like I would rather them kind of let the fans know what is coming on the horizon while still taking their time to make it good. But they need to have more transparency. They need to not prematurely set release dates like Kingdom Hearts did.
Right.
And then they also need to just be more open with the fans and be like, hey, it's okay to say, hey, you know what? We hit a development snag. Like we hit a serious and we had to redo things. I think that kind of happened with Warcraft 3. They said they ended up having to recreate the game from scratch because of like the initial build was just not working. Like, I would rather hear that feedback. I would rather be like, oh, that sucks. Like, but I understand because I want you to make it better and make it good and make it right.
And Blizzard and Rockstar both have the reputation of it's done when it's done.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're not going to release dates. We're just going to, it'll be here when it gets here.
Yeah, so that's why I'm okay with Blizzard saying Diablo 4 is coming, here's the logo.
Right.
Like, because at least that's saying like, okay, I trust you. I trust that you'll make it good.
But a logo actually dictates some sort of art direction or some sort of styling behind it and a lot of implications.
And if they don't have,
so if they don't even have a game yet, you can't show a logo.
Sure, then just like say, hey guys,
what they should have
Diablo
done
4 is coming.
Was make fun of the Walmart leak from E3 that posts the picture of Rage 2 on the black background with a straight white font that meant nothing. Like, that's what they should have done, is to like be a joke.
Cool.
So hype and disappointment, right? So that's what we're talking about. Let's close this loop, this idea. So there's a responsibility of how you respond as a gamer to the industry and the things. You've actually had a good transformation from your initial reaction of like fury and rage down to like,
that mad,
let me calm
I was
down.
Disappointed.
Now I'm still happy about Smash. There's things that I'm still excited about, and I'm not going to let them ruin
I've watched the World of Light trailer like 3 or 4 times because I am very excited about the story mode. And where that's
it looks
going.
awesome. And just some bad character announcements or a lack of a Grinch leak shouldn't like wreck you, and you shouldn't go online and you never did that, but like go online and vitriol and toxicity and things. Even with the Diablo Immortal, I'm excited. I pre-registered for the game immediately. I very quickly, like, when I'm disappointed, I very quickly retaliate back to the level like of, okay, let's just look at this. It's not Diablo 4, but it's probably coming. This is a good game. They messed up. I know that they messed up. They now know they messed up. And I can still be excited about that release. And I think that's a good place for gamers and consumers to be, especially in the world of social media. We need to take more responsibility for our own voice.
Yeah, and at the same time, we also can hold these industry leaders accountable for when they make mistakes. So we can still acknowledge and say, yes, Nintendo should have better paced those reveals. And yes, BlizzCon should have been better thought out, or they should have done more to curb the expectations sooner by saying things like, "We're not going to reveal new game, like we're not going to reveal any new games," or even just say we're working on a Diablo mobile game. You know what I mean? Like and we're going to reveal more about it at BlizzCon. You know what I mean? Like,
has it opened with that at BlizzCon?
Yeah,
and ended with the Warcraft 3 Reforged announcement. Money. Boom. Drop the mic. BlizzCon was a success. No bad. Like, it would have been amazing.
I would not have agreed particularly on that,
just
but
because
still, just because I still look at the overall, like, what are we getting from this BlizzCon? Like, just reordering it's not the same as Smash to me, whereas reordering it would have maintained the hype. Like, for BlizzCon, it was literally like, what am I getting? What am I getting from Blizzard? And I'm excited about Warcraft 3 Reforged.
I'm over the moon excited about Warcraft 3 Reforged. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted that more than anything. I know you did.
Yes, we talked about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think yes, we take personal responsibility, but there's also responsibility from the industry side too. I will say that overall, the last few weeks have been kind of a bit of a sucker punch for me because it's just the things that I wanted out of gaming is not exactly what I wanted, but again, some perspective has done me well with time, and Red Dead's been a nice escape from that. So okay, hour and 20 minutes in.
Yep.
Let's wrap it up. And so sorry for the sort of impromptu, not that you guys had any expectations because we don't reveal our episodes topics ahead of time. So that's the way we don't build the hype. But
yes,
nevertheless, this was a little bit more fast and loose because it literally was something that we decided literally last minute, like as we're setting up for the podcast.
We're plugging in the mics and changing our topic at the same time.
Exactly, pretty much. So next week, we will be back with a well-researched, well-thought-out topic.
Maybe. What if we do this again?
Yeah, well,
hey.
You never know now what you're going to get. But we hope you enjoyed this conversation, and we want to hear your thoughts. What did you think about the Grinch leak? What did you think about BlizzCon if you watched them? Maybe you don't care at all, but what was your biggest, disappointment or hype moment where your hype expectations were met? We want to hear that feedback from you, so let us know at those things. Why don't you give them a recap review of where they can find us?
80bitpodsmash.com. That's our landing website. It has links to Google Play and iTunes. Please go to iTunes, leave a review. It's the best way for the algorithms to kind of let us bubble up to the top. If you leave us a review there, please share us on Facebook, share us with your friends. The worst thing that can happen is you'll be considered a gamer, maybe. And we're on Reddit, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. You can @ us at 80bitpodsmash. You can also email us, 80bitpodsmash@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to hearing from you, and we will see y'all next week.
See you next week.